Okay, so the first hand here. So in this tournament, you start with 3,000 chips. So so it's pretty far in the tournament already. The big blind is already more than the starting stack by a lot. And so yes, there's maybe like it's definitely the final couple of tables by now in a tournament that started with 4,000 players. So it's a $22 buy-in tournament, which is definitely the smallest buy-in that I play. So if you compare this to the rest of my videos, this is definitely the smallest buy-in video I've made, I think. So a few things to keep in mind is the players are probably slightly weaker, but more importantly, this far in a big tournament, players are probably going to be pretty scared to put their whole stack in and stuff like that. So that's definitely a very good thing to keep in mind. Whereas compared to say a 100 rebuy, if you make it to the final few tables, everyone who's there has been there before, and everyone is basically not scared and playing pretty well. Whereas here, nowadays, even a $20 tournament, the players aren't bad, but definitely for a lot of these players, this could be their first time making it to the final 50 players of a 4,000 player tournament. So a lot of players might be pretty scared money, or some of them might err on the other side. some of them might be super excited to have so much adrenaline and just be playing super crazy. So my overall game plan here is going to be try to not do try to basically expect anything. I'm going to be expecting extremely crazy plays by some opponents and extreme big folds by other opponents. I just feel like for most of these guys, they're not going to have been here before, and their adrenaline is going to be pumping, and they're either going to be overly aggressive or overly tight. So okay, so let's see what happens. So the first hand that's sort of interesting is I get pocket jacks in the big blind, and the hijack min raises, and the hijack only has about less than 15 bets at this point. And the button, small 3 bets, min 3 bets. So already we kind of have a weird hand. We already kind of have a weird situation here. So I have a couple of options. I mean, I'm definitely not folding. So I think there's three options pre-flop. I think one of them is to just shove, go all in. I only have 30 big blinds, so going all in I think is fine. The other is to 3-bet smaller and call an all in, or call an all in probably, depending on timing. I could make it something like 54,000 and most likely call an all in. In the rare occurrence, if I make it 5,400, suppose I make it 5,400 and Trosic jams and Anchors instantly jams, I would consider folding, because I feel like at these stakes, no one's really going to be trying to trick you. People are just going to be super excited. If Ankerns had aces, he would just instantly get it all in and be super excited without considering that, if he thought for a few seconds, I might think he had a weaker hand or something. So I think one option is to raise it to 54,000 and probably get it in, but possibly fold under rare circumstances. And the third option, I think, is to just call. So in this spot, I think usually when I see a player making a min 3-bet in position, I usually don't give them too much credit, because I feel like usually they're just trying to get information on whether the other guy is going to 4-bet, and they have no issues if the other guy calls because they're in position. Except in this case, I actually think Ankerns, his range is pretty strong, because Trosic is very shallow. Usually when I was saying people will just randomly splash around and make a small 3-bet, especially some of the lower stakes players, this is theoretically a bad play, right? At a high stakes tournament, this doesn't happen too much, because it's theoretically a bad play because your opponent's never folding, and by raising instead of calling, by min raising instead of calling, all you do is give your opponent the opportunity to 4-bet preflop if they want. So in theory, it's not a very sound play, but it happens. So in this specific case, I think Ankerns, his range is actually going to be pretty strong because Trosic is so shallow. I don't think he's going to be randomly splashing here with, say, Jack-10 suited, making a play like this, because it's so shallow. I mean, if he had Jack-10 suited, he would probably raise more to try to get Trosic to fold, right? I mean, yeah, so I actually think Ankerns, his range is going to be pretty strong. And so I think if I 4-bet him, if I 4-bet him, I can definitely see him making a very big fold based on what I was saying earlier. I can see him making a very big fold. I mean, I could also see him making a very spazzy shove. Who knows? I mean, it's going to be pretty unpredictable at this point. So What I chose to do was just call, and in hindsight, I actually think this was the wrong play. I think the better play probably would have been to make it 54,000. I just think jacks in a three-way pot out of position just plays too poorly post-flop, so I actually don't like the way I played the hand in the tournament.